Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about a deadly love triangle. Now unfortunately this is a really sad story because everything could have been resolved in such a different way than how it actually went down that night. Now this story involves a teenage boy who believed he could have multiple girls and literally have it all. In fact, he basked in the fact that he had multiple girls fighting over him, like he was in some sort of trophy, which I can assure you he wasn't. Social media and the use of mobile phones played a big part in the lead up to this tragic event. People seem to be extremely confident when they are behind a screen or a phone. And this can lead to awful endings. No, seriously, this can lead to awful endings. Confidence from behind a phone. It's fake confidence, guys. Now I'm going to start a little with about Rachel Wade. Rachel grew up in Pinellas Park, Florida, just west of Tampa, Australia, US. Her mum said when she was little, she loved princesses, drawing, and made friends easily. But as she got to high school, it seemed her social life was much more important than her education. She fought back against the rules and would run away from home when she wouldn't get her own way. She was known to be boy mad and would get easily obsessed. At the age of just 15, she was caught in the car with a lad that was 18 at the time. I'll let your imagination make the best of that up. Now, the boy was charged with a felony sex offence. All of her relationships seemed to be bad and full of toxic drama, and she dropped out of school and ran away 14 times. Also, apparently the police were called after she had held a knife to her mother. Okay, sounds lovely, doesn't she? Now a little about the second girl in this love triangle, Sarah Luedman. Now she grew up not far from where Rachel lived. She was the only child to her parents after being together for 16 years. So you can imagine she must have meant the world to her mum and dad. I believe they were a little older than some of other people her age. When she was younger, Sarah used to love going to work with her dad in his taxi, and by all accounts, she was entirely a daddy's girl. I knew that. I was the same. She wasn't ever really into boys, and had previously struggled with her weight. She was more focused on her education, studying medicine, and her parents were very, very proud of her dedication. Now it's time to talk a little about, I can't say it. Now it's time to talk about the boy. The boy that caused all of this to happen. And his name was Joshua Camacho. He was apparently in the same class as Rachel at some point, so they already knew of one another from their past, but apparently hadn't made any connection at this point. Josh had gotten himself a job at the local Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A? I'm not sure how you pronounce that, sorry guys. And one time Sarah happened to be there with her friends, and it seemed that it took one wink from Joshua Camacho and Sarah was smitten. Oh dear. She didn't know at that point that he was already seeing someone. But no, this wasn't Rachel. He actually has a child with a girl named Erin. And now I don't really know anything about his child's mother, so nothing really to say there. Busy boy. Sarah certainly took to Joshua over the summer, unaware of his cheating and lying ways, as she suddenly announced to her parents that she didn't want to continue with her current studies and instead wanted to move to Pinellas Park High School, which, if you haven't guessed it already, that is where Joshua should be. Sarah's parents were not happy, but let her do what she wanted. Let her do what she wanted and let the relationship they didn't approve of run its course. They sound so lovely and understanding. I also know parents like that. Now, Rachel was aware of Joshua's multiple relationships, which led to many breakups between them. Rachel got a job at a place called Applebee's, and this made her able to afford her own place. So as you can imagine, thinking he can do what he wants, Joshua just basically moved himself into his apartment with her and just freeloaded off her all summer. Oh, he's hot. What do these girls see in him? Joshua treated Sarah differently when they returned to school, more like a friend or an acquaintance, and only showed her affection in private. What did these girls see in him? Sarah's friends started to worry when Joshua started to become very controlling, like what she was able to wear and who she could see. And Rachel's friends started to worry too, and couldn't understand the complete fixation on this lowlife. When she had a job, a place to live, she wasn't bad looking either, and she could easily attracted another boy, a better boy. Betty Butter, but some butter. Sarah had become obsessed with the boy too. She had actually already given up on her future goals, but she had begun to also get in fights with other girls over Joshua. She had never previously been in trouble, but was interviewed 6 incidents by police, mainly to do with the love triangle and all its dramas, of course. Then came along the all-famous MySpace. Do you remember MySpace, guys? Is anyone watching this know what MySpace was? It was basically the beginning of all social media, forget Facebook. And it was the beginning of social media overload and also the fake confidence that many had from behind their screens and still have now, remember. It's fake confidence. Now, Joshua seemed to manage his multiple relationships at first, telling the girls that each of them were his exes. Then also the fact that Sarah had an 11 p.m. curfew, but Rachel would usually be at work till around the same time. Boys. Back to MySpace. After Rachel saw a photo of Joshua and Rachel together, after Rachel saw a photo of Joshua and Sarah together, she commented to the effect of, "She always loved Joshua, but now she deserves better." In which Sarah had replied, "Josh had already found better." Ooh, sorry, I like that bit. Somehow, Rachel got a hold of Sarah's number, and so began the torrent of many insults and threats between both of the girls. Apparently, Sarah and her friends would also taunt Rachel at her workplace, tripping her while she was trying to carry food and drinks, and also complain that she had spit in their food. Sorry, just needed to move. Now, from afar, this just looks like, normal teenage love triangle quarrel. But in this case, it just seems like teenagers quarrelling over a boy they both like, or in their cases, love. But love is probably the top most common reason murders even occur. Like, seriously, if you watch any documentaries, if you're actually into true crime murder like I am, you only need to watch a few to realise that love, relationships, exes, anything to do with love is basically the number one reason that murder is committed. Joshua basked in his girls fighting over him, telling them, "Well, if you want to be with me, you'll fight her for me." What a horrible boy. Rachel left some really aggressive and threatening voicemails to Sarah and mocking her to him, but many times actually threatening to beat her ass, also that she would show her psycho, and even the words, I'm guaranteeing you, I'm going to effing murder you." Pure threats, clear threats, obvious threats to murder her, not just to, shout at her, murder her. Which I can only guess didn't help Rachel at all, to be honest. Like, all these voicemails and things that they find afterwards. Again, they just don't think. Like, first of all, they're teenagers. But again, it's the use of their mobile phones. And thinking they've got the confidence. Like, they're not in person. They're over the phone. That they can say this stuff to people and get away with it. And they won't be caught out. Forget about it. These girls were seriously obsessed with this boy, Even Sarah saw that when Rachel had posted on MySpace something about loving my boo, meaning Joshua Camacho, and feeling heartbroken, she still dropped everything when Joshua contacted her, just literally saying, bring the movies. So borrowing a mum's green minivan and travelling 2 blocks to Joshua's sister's house, Janet. There they watched movies together until Sarah's curfew, or around Sarah's curfew. Apparently though, on her way over to Janet's house, Sarah decided to make a detour. And she had driven by and seen Rachel walking her dog. She decided that she would honk her horn and yell at her, and yelled, "Stay away from my man," and drove away. If these girls could just see that it's the boy in question here that's the real issue and not each other, they should be shouting, "Get away from me." Oh, I shouldn't laugh, it's not funny. Rachel had later said that this had made her worry that they would return and come after her. I don't know who they is, because I think at that time it was just Sarah. She decided to contact her ex-boyfriend, Javier Laboy. Sorry, I like to say that one. He had said that she could go over to his house. I mean, fair enough. When you've been being alone after you've made all these death threats, giving out to this girl herself, she probably would be worried. You know, this is what I mean by saying fake confidence from behind the screen, guys. It's or a phone, you know. She was more than happy to hand out many threats herself, but in turn, being confronted in person, she became scared and contacted her ex for help. It's never a good idea to threaten others, especially online. Rachel had made one last fatal decision before leaving her home, and that was to grab a steak knife and take that with her. She stated later to police that she just wanted them to leave her alone, which wasn't really the case because she still continued to contact Joshua. She also drove past Janet's house and sent him a text that said, "Now I know why you're not talking to me, because you have hurt." Joshua then replied, "That's right, I don't like you no more. Why you parked down the street? Go home." I can imagine after the way he's played both of these girls and leading them both on, even living with Rachel, remember he lived with Rachel, that this came as a huge shock and also probably hit her hard. She began driving up and down the street shouting for Sarah to come and find me. Sarah was already late for her curfew and her dad was texting her to come home. When she thought the coast was clear, she went to leave, but Janet and a friend asked Sarah for a lift to McDonald's, and even though she knew she was late, she agreed to take them. Apparently these passengers would later say that Rachel phoned Sarah whilst they were in the car together and simply threatened, "I'm going to stab you and your Mexican boyfriend." Again, another threat, and a threat to murder. Apparently Rachel said that Sarah travelled to Javier's house, which is, remember, Rachel's ex-boyfriend, and the house where she is at the time, and that she had tried to run her over with her car. Again. And jumped out of the vehicle. So tried to run over her with her car, and then jumped out of her vehicle and came at her swinging wildly. Remember though, that is Rachel's account. In literally the course of seconds, Sarah had somehow been stabbed twice. One stab wound got Sarah's shoulder, but unfortunately the second stab wound was to Sarah's heart. Now Rachel clearly had the knife. She took it with her that night, ready in her hand, or at least nearby. She had also lured Sarah to her once again, threatening to stab her, but this time she'd also brought Joshua into it. And you've got to remember, these guys were obsessed with Joshua. He was everything to them. She claimed she never meant to stab her. She just went to hit her, but also she had the knife in her hand, so she also stated that Janet, who is Joshua's sister, had ran at her too. She felt outnumbered again. you did have the knife in your hand already. Janet might not have been there. I guess you could somehow cut or hurt someone in some way if you're holding a knife in a fight, but not actually using it. But come on, 2 stab wounds, one of them to the heart. It's just not consistent. All of the threats, that last call she placed to Sarah, luring her, clearly shows a plan to murder. She wanted Sarah gone, and probably in her mind, she would then have Joshua to herself. It really is crazy what people do for love, even at such a young age. Really? Was it love? I cannot see what this boy had to offer either of these girls besides heartache and drama, and clearly, like in many cases of messed up love triangles, ends up in cold-blooded murder. Which, if you ask me, in her mind was only focused on one thing only at that point, and that was having Joshua all to herself. Why? I've no idea. But she was solely focused on that, and was so crazy about him that it made her think that night to pick up that knife and to also taunt Sarah the same evening. It was clearly about to erupt, and it wasn't like Rachel hadn't already made many plain threats to stab Sarah. We've heard it, we saw in the voicemails that she left. So this was certainly not, in my opinion, a self-defense case, or even a last-minute decision. She had probably dreamed about it. The incident took place on Tuesday evening, April the 14th of 2009, and after Rachel had stabbed poor Sarah, she was heard to say, "I'm done." And then she threw the murder weapon, the steak knife, up onto a neighbouring roof, and then just proceeded to sit on a porch bench and light up a cigarette calmly. She also remained there until police arrived. Sarah was transferred to a Northside hospital and sadly was pronounced dead at 2:20 a.m. Rachel was arrested and charged with murder in the 2nd degree, which means it was an unlawful killing committed with an intent to cause serious harm. I'm just glad it wasn't a self-defense case situation, because, it happens all too often. You see it, way too many people get away with it, or even a lesser charge. And it's just awful when that happens. Rachel was booked into Pinellas County Jail on a $500,000 bond. And thankfully, she did stay there throughout the conclusion of the trial and was convicted of 2nd-degree murder and to serve 27 years in state prison. It really is such a shame, because these girls, first of all, like in many cases, were angry at the wrong person. The person they should have been angry at here is the 2-timing or even 3-timing lowlife, the one that was cheating on all of them, treating them like dirt and using them all against each other for his own gain. Joshua Camacho. Hello. Now, I'm not saying they should have all gone out and stabbed him instead. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not condoning behaviour of that sort at all. But it really does sadden me that this story had got this far. They should have just ended their relationships with this horrible boy and got better. I mean, they were both pretty girls, smart. They were going to that school. It's just so sad. Especially Sarah, her story is so sad. Her parents left with no children after waiting 16 years for Sarah to come along. It's just heartbreaking, it really is. And Sarah went on to do an interview with ABC Action News where she talked about getting out of prison. Sarah's parents will forever be in prison without her. I guess in the end, love really can be deadly. Thanks for watching my video today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this story, and I'm sure I'll get back to you with some more.
I luckily still get to see my parents. It could have been me. And I can't say, like I said, I'd take it back if I could, but I'm still here and I'm gonna get out one day. So, I mean, I try to stay as positive as I can.
Hi guys, I just wanted to say that all of my stories are real, true murders and crimes that have happened around the world, where I've collected real, factual evidence from the internet, Google, YouTube, Wikipedia. I've watched multiple documentaries and I have taken a lot of time to collect everything and put it all together in these documentaries for you to enjoy. So I hope you enjoy watching them as I have enjoyed making them. Please like and share whatever you have to say on these things. Maybe subscribe, I don't know. Anyway, I've enjoyed making them. Hope you enjoy watching them. Thank you.